You know that feeling when you see an acronym and you're like, oh, I know this one, only to realize you're completely off? Well, today we're going to dive into a real linguistic puzzle, and it's all hiding in just three little letters: MCP. Seems simple enough, right? But believe me, the answer is, well, it's not simple at all. Turns out this one little acronym is living a triple life in totally separate worlds. We're talking from the cutting edge of AI all the way to a high-tech factory floor. And that's really the whole point here. I mean, if you ask a coder, a doctor, and an aerospace engineer the same question, you're going to get three completely different answers. It really drives home the point that context, as we're about to find out, is everything. So, what's the deal? Is it some cutting-edge protocol for AI, a crucial signal firing off inside our bodies, or is it the master plan for building incredibly complex machines? Well, here's the kicker. The answer is all of the above. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's get into it. All right, first stop on our tour is the world of artificial intelligence. In this universe, MCP stands for the Model Context Protocol. And let me tell you, it's solving a huge problem for the big players like Claude and ChatGPT. You see, cybersecurity today isn't just about protecting people with passwords. We've got a whole new challenge: securing what are called non-human identities, or NHIs. Basically, we're talking about AI agents that need to go out and do things on their own. And MCP? That's the framework built specifically to let these AIs safely access and use tools all over the digital world. And this quote just nails it. The best way to think about it is like this. An AI model is this brilliant brain, but it's stuck in a box. It can't just reach out and check a database or fire off an email. MCP is what gives it hands and feet. It's the bridge, the translator, that takes what the AI wants to do and turns it into a real-world action. Now, this is where MCP really flips the script on old-school security. See, the old way was all about fixed roles, right? You're an admin, you're a user, and that's that. But MCP is way more dynamic. It's constantly asking, okay, what is this AI trying to do at this exact moment? And does that actually make sense in this context? It's a huge shift from worrying about who you are to focusing on what you're doing. So how does this actually work? Let's say you tell your AI, hey, find my last order. The AI figures out what you want, it grabs the right tool, let's call it the find_tool, and then the MCP server does the heavy lifting. It makes the secure API call to the database. The key here is the AI never touches the system directly. It just gets the answer back, nice and clean. It's a super secure, standardized way for an AI to use basically any digital tool you can think of. Okay, got all that? I hope so, because we're about to do a complete 180. We're leaving the world of tech behind and jumping straight into a totally different universe: medicine. And get this, in the medical world, MCP doesn't have one meaning, it has two. And it could not be more different from each other. So our first medical MCP is a protein. Its full name is a mouthful: monocyte chemoattractant protein-1. But all you really need to know is that this tiny little molecule is a massive player in our body's defense system. Think of it like a first responder when something goes wrong. A great way to picture MCP1 is as a biological signal flare. So when there's damage or inflammation somewhere, like in kidney disease, for example, your cells shoot off this flare. It's a signal that tells your immune cells to come rushing to the scene to handle cleanup and repairs. It's a super critical part of how our bodies respond to trouble. Okay, so we've got our biological signal flare. Easy enough. But wait, there's more. If you're talking to, say, a statistician who's working on a new drug, MCP means something completely different. This is where the plot really thickens. Say hello to MCP mod. This is a super powerful statistical method they use in clinical trials. And its job? Well, its job is to solve one of the hardest puzzles in drug development: figuring out the perfect dose. You know, that Goldilocks amount, just enough to work, but not so much that it causes problems. So why is this such a big deal? Well, because the old ways of figuring out dosage, they just weren't cutting it. In fact, it was a super common reason for the FDA to reject promising new drugs. MCP mod is a game changer because it gives way stronger evidence by mixing two powerful statistical methods. It's so good, in fact, that both the FDA here and the European Medicines Agency have given it the green light, and that means safer drugs get to patients faster. All right, time for our final jump. We've gone from AI to the human body, and now we're heading to the factory floor.
Our last stop is the world of high-tech manufacturing, where MCP stands for the Manufacturing and Control Plan. And this is basically the ultimate rulebook for building stuff where failure is simply not an option.
To give you some context, think about companies like Leonardo, a huge global player in aerospace and defense. I mean, when you're building jet fighters or satellites, good enough doesn't cut it. Every single tiny part has to be absolutely perfect. And to do that, you need a plan that is completely bulletproof. See, in this world, not all parts are treated the same. They get classified based on how critical they are. A C1 part, for instance, is the most critical kind. It's directly linked to safety. It absolutely, positively cannot fail. Then you've got something like a C3 part, which is much more common. And this ranking system decides exactly how intense the manufacturing and testing process has to be. And that right there is where the industrial MCP comes in. It is the master blueprint. It spells out every single step of the process, the manufacturing, the controls, the tests. So for that supercritical C1 part, the MCP is the document that guarantees every action, every bit of material, and every test is done and documented perfectly, from the very beginning to the very end. Whew! So after that whirlwind tour through AI security, human biology, and industrial manufacturing, let's bring it all home and finally solve this three-letter puzzle once and for all. So there you have it, the three faces of MCP. In technology, it's the Model Context Protocol, a universal translator for AI. In medicine, it's two things, a biological signal and a statistical tool. And in industry, it's the Manufacturing and Control Plan, the master blueprint for building complex things perfectly. And really, that's the big takeaway here. One acronym, three completely different worlds. It's just a perfect reminder that in the super specialized world we live in, context isn't just important, it's everything. It really makes you think, doesn't it? As all these fields get more and more specialized, these kinds of linguistic pileups are just going to happen more. So what other MCPs are out there hiding in plain sight? What other simple acronyms are pulling double, maybe even triple duty in worlds we don't even know exist? Definitely something to chew on.